From the Toronto studios, this is the Muslim News on Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum, I'm Zahra Syed. Our top story tonight. Leaked audio has exposed that an Israeli army helicopter fired on Israeli prisoners who were in the custody of Hamas on October 7th. The audio, parts of which were made public by Israel's news site Ynet, documented a meeting between former Israeli prisoners, their relatives, and Israel's wartime cabinet. One freed female prisoner said they had a feeling that no one was doing anything for them. She said they were shelled, wounded, and even shot at by a helicopter on their way to Gaza. The hostages expressed dissatisfaction with Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu over Israeli airstrikes on Gaza. In the details of the meeting, the prisoners said they were in tunnels and were terrified it would not be Hamas, but Israel that would kill them. They urged for an immediate prisoner exchange so that everyone returns to home. Israeli fighter jets unleashed a relentless barrage of airstrikes throughout Gaza on Friday, causing widespread devastation. Just on Friday, it killed 300 Palestinians. Al Jazeera's reports indicate that within the past 24 hours, nearly 350 individuals have lost their lives. Israel's military has issued a statement claiming to have targeted 450 sites within the Gaza Strip. These mostly include residential homes. The total death toll has reached at least 17,177 Palestinians in Gaza and 266 in the West Bank since October 7th. In Israel, the revised official death toll currently stands at approximately 1,147, which includes 418 soldiers. A march called by extremist Israeli Jews at the Al-Aqsa Mosque complex in Jerusalem on Thursday was halted by police. Many of them gathered in the Old City and chanted racist remarks to mark the first day of the Jewish holiday of Hanukkah. They chanted slogans like "Death to Arabs," "We must build the third temple," and "The third temple, Al-Aqsa Mosque, is ours." The Israeli extremists also made derogatory remarks about the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and called for the expulsion of the Islamic Waqf, which administers Al-Aqsa Mosque. This controversial march was approved by Israeli authorities earlier in the week, organized by an extremist settler groups. Ahead of the march, a substantial police presence was deployed near the Damascus Gate. Qatar's foreign ministry strongly condemned the actions, labeling them a provocation and an attack on the rights of Palestinians and the historic Muslim custodianship of Jerusalem's holy sites. According to a police spokesperson, given the racist chants, it was decided not to allow the continuation of the protests. Israeli soldiers stripped and detained numerous Palestinian men in northern Gaza, as revealed in recently published footage. Witnesses claim that at least 7 men were shot and killed for not obeying orders swiftly. The Euro-Mediterranean Human Rights Monitor reports that the detainees included doctors, academics, journalists, and seniors. They were taken from homes and schools, housing displaced families. Israeli soldiers also surrounded and stormed the Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan and Aleppo schools in Beit Lahia. They arrested the men in the schools and allowed women and children to leave. Euro-Mediterranean Monitor also said soldiers evacuated residents from some Beit Lahia neighborhoods and set homes on fire. The U.S. will oppose any proposed buffer zone within Gaza. State Department spokesman Matthew Miller says the U.S. has laid out the principles regarding post-war Gaza. He notes that one of these is that there must be no reduction in the size of Gaza. Miller also says that any proposed buffer zone inside Gaza would be a violation of that principle. When asked about the possibility of an international force in post-war Gaza, Miller says there will be a need for such force during the transition period. However, he quickly added that it is too early to define the parameters. Nearly $1 million raised for Palestinian students shot in Vermont. Details come after the break. Stay tuned and we will be right back. Welcome back. Nearly $1 million has been raised to help one of 3 Palestinian college students shot in Vermont during the Thanksgiving break. The unprovoked attack has left Hisham Awartani paralyzed from the chest down after a bullet lodged in his spine. Authorities are investigating the incident as a possible hate crime. Awartani's family started a GoFundMe campaign for him, which has now raised over $950,000 for his recovery. Awartani, Kinan Abdelhamid, and Tehseen Ali Ahmed, all childhood friends from the West Bank, were visiting Hisham's relatives in Burlington when they were shot. The three were targeted while walking to his grandmother's house. Suspected shooter Jason In has been arrested and faces charges of attempted murder. The incident has highlighted growing Islamophobia and anti-Semitism in the U.S. since Israel's war on Palestine began in October. Awartani says he will continue his education and is pursuing a dual degree at Brown University. His family says he will make a positive impact on the world through his resilience and compassion. A Nevada state grand jury has indicted 6 people for falsely presenting themselves as electors during the 2020 presidential election. All 6 are members of the Republican Party. They have been charged with 2 felony counts. One is for submitting counterfeit documents. The other is for using forged records related to Nevada's electoral process. Nevada Attorney General Aaron Ford has strongly condemned their actions, emphasizing his commitment to protecting the democracy. He says attacks on democracy cannot go unchallenged and highlighted the importance of defending the nation's institutions. The indictment follows the ongoing criminal conspiracy case against former President Donald Trump. This is for the alleged interference in the 2020 election, which has led to election fraud investigations in multiple states. Nevada is the 3rd state to take legal action against those involved in the 2020 election controversy. This marks a wider effort to uphold the integrity of the electoral process. Denmark has passed legislation criminalizing burning or desecrating the Quran or other holy books. Following a heated debate, the bill was passed on Thursday with 94 votes in favor and 77 votes against in the 179-member Danish parliament. The bill makes it illegal to burn, tear, or defile holy texts in public or online to widely disseminate them. Offenders can risk a fine or jail term for as many as 2 years. While the 3-party coalition government voted in favor of the bill, no coalition members stood to respond to opposition criticism during the debate in the parliament. The bill was first introduced in August, but was later amended due to concerns raised within the ruling coalition about freedom of speech. The bill would become law following the formal signature of the Danish monarch, Queen Margrethe, who is expected to sign it later this month. The Danish Ministry of Justice said in a statement that the law is aimed at combating systematic mockery, which raises terror threat levels in Denmark. Earlier in August, members of the ultra-nationalist group, Danske Patrioter or Danish Patriots, burned a copy of the Quran in front of the Turkish embassy in Copenhagen. 4 Rohingya men were killed early Wednesday in intergroup clashes in Bangladesh. The incident occurred in the southeast Ogia camps of Cox's Bazar. That is where approximately 1 million Rohingya refugees have been living since 2017 following a genocide at the hands of Burma's military. 2 insurgent groups engaged in gunfire, and police said 2 more Rohingya were injured in a stabbing attack. Burma's armed separatist groups Arakan Rohingya Salvation Army, or the ARSA, and the Rohingya Solidarity Organization, or the RSO, were primarily suspected of involvement in the incident. The ARSA and the RSO militant groups are active in Burma's northern Rakhine state, but in Cox's Bazar they are fighting to establish control in the refugee camps. Human Rights Watch reports that at least 48 Rohingya have been killed this year so far, and 40 were killed in 2022. It also says that at least 11 armed groups are operating in Cox's camps. Indian Muslims observed the 31st anniversary of the demolition of the historic Babri Mosque on Wednesday, pledging to continue their legal battle for their rights. The 16th century mosque in Ayodhya, Uttar Pradesh, was destroyed by Hindu extremists in 1992, sparking communal violence. Zahra from the All India Muslim Personal Law Board commemorated the 4,000 Muslims who were killed in the aftermath of the demolition of the mosque. Prominent Muslim politician Asaduddin Owaisi emphasized that their fight was for legal rights. Security was heightened in Ayodhya on this anniversary. Meanwhile, the construction of a grand Hindu temple on the mosque's site, initiated by Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi, nears completion. Its inauguration has been set for January. The Supreme Court settled the decades-long dispute in 2019, allowing a temple's construction and allocating land at a separate place for a new mosque. The land is now in the hands of the Sunni Central Waqf Board, but the construction is yet to begin. Australia is pushing for a new law allowing courts to revoke Australian citizenship from dual nationals found guilty of terrorism, espionage, or foreign interference. The proposed legislation argues that certain actions by citizens can sever their allegiance to the state, necessitating a citizenship cessation process. This move follows the case of Abdul Nasser bin Brika. He is an Algerian-born dual national convicted of leading a terror cell with plans to attack Australian landmarks in 2008. While Ben Brika initially had his citizenship revoked, a court later overturned the decision. The proposed bill empowers the Home Ministers to seek court approval for citizenship removal in cases where an individual's actions are deemed repugnant to Australian interests and values. Dr. Refaat Alareer, a distinguished Palestinian writer, poet, professor, and activist, was killed in an Israeli airstrike today. Muslim Network TV mourns the loss of this visionary educator who passionately advocated for Gaza and Palestine. During his last appearance on the network in October, Dr. Refaat Alareer highlighted the lack of international media attention on Gaza's dire situation and Israel's actions. He emphasized the international community's complicity in the suffering of the Palestinian people. Alareer was a prolific author, known for his works shedding light on life in Gaza. He taught literature and creative writing at the Islamic University of Gaza. Alareer was also co-founder of We Are Not Numbers, an organization which matched experienced authors with young writers in Gaza. In his final words, Refaat pointedly held the Democratic Party and President Joe Biden responsible for the suffering in Gaza. His tragic death underscores the ongoing challenges faced by Palestinian intellectuals even in the darkest of times. Despite his personal hardships, he remained steadfast in his commitment to education and advocacy. His legacy of resilience will continue to inspire generations to come. That's all from our Toronto studios tonight. Thank you for tuning in. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell icon for the latest updates. For more content, keep watching Muslim Network TV or visit muslimnetwork.tv. Assalamu alaikum and good night.